Hey, what's going on, everybody? We have the set 8.5 patch notes, and there are some pretty big pieces of news here because not only are we going to get a bunch of new champions, but there is a sneak peek on what the future of mid sets are going to be. And this is going to be the second to last mid set. They're actually going to swap to full 3 new sets a year, which I think is actually pretty great because I always wondered why all the world champions were played during the mid sets, because the first sets are where I think more of the interesting content kind of comes out. But let's get into some of the changes. Some of you all may have already seen my set 8.5 preview already, where we go over all the champions, but we're going to go over all the new content that's going to be coming out right now based on what they've been changing throughout the past couple weeks since then. So there are a few new arenas here. There's going to be a new glitched out pass. The new set's going to be called glitched out. So I guess whenever something bad happens, we could just say it was a glitch. Maybe that was the purpose of the naming. But we also have some new ultra nefarious capsules. These contain a bunch of mythics, chance to get arenas, some little legends that we can see right here. And then there's another new map over here. It's always hard to decide what the best new maps are. I recently switched to the bunny map for the Chinese New Year map, and I think I'm personally going to stick to that one because, I mean, after all, my name is BunnyMuffins, so I have to kind of stick with that one. But out of the ones I've seen so far, this one's probably the most impressive. But they also have a new chibi, which is Zed. He's going to be pretty cool. What's interesting is that they took Zed out of the set before they put the chibi in, so I am very curious about that. A new little legend, there's another shark one. I thought there already was a shark, but I guess there's another one now too. And then we have this little guy. He looks like one of the bad guys in One Punch Man in the first episode, I believe. There's another new one here called Noctero, kind of like a bird-looking person. And then the new Dangos. These are called Rangos. They're like the Power Ranger Dangos. So I think these are going to be the hottest sellers. But let me know what you guys kind of use, both arena-wise and little legend-wise, down in the comments. I know that a lot of people, they sometimes, when they really like a certain little legend, they actually don't want legendary skins of them coming out because it gets too expensive, so they'd rather have like basic ones come out. So I guess let me know your thoughts on that too, on kind of like the pricing structure. But here are some of the new Emote Awards that you can get based on what you placed in last season for Hyper Roll, for regular ranked, and for Double Up. And then let's finally get into the gameplay changes. So they have some third-party friends where you could check out some of the new set mechanics and stuff and some of the new champions, but I'm going to do something a little extra. So I'm going to do an inspect element, change it over down to Teamfight LOL. You guys can click it right here. Our new team builder is all updated and ready to go with the new champions. We have all the new augments available as well. And if you want to check out what each of the new champions do, you could head on over to the champion section. Lucian's a new one. We have all the hero augments here, abilities, traits, etc. Pretty much everything you need to know. More will be added to this site in this new set, and I'm actually really excited about it because it's a project that I've been working with for a while. But back on over to the gameplay changes. Obviously, like, it's not actually listed there. You're just gonna have to go there by yourself. I'll leave a link down in the description below because I feel like our team builder is the best team builder. And you may have noticed that LolChess changed their team builder after we made ours. So it definitely is something that hopefully will make pretty much every TFT site a lot better. But onto the hero augments. So the threat hero augments were showing up a little too often with our updated hero augment distribution system. Unlike Spatulopolis, we're protecting you from seeing too many threats by implementing a few rules. Let me zoom in a bit because I did get an eye surgery, so I can't really see as well right now. But the maximum number of times a threat hero augment can show up as a tailored augment per slot is equal to your active threat trait level +1. So you still can get a lot of threat ones, but it's not going to show up super often if you re-roll a bunch. 2-1 is still full random. And then threats rolled while as an option that is considered random, not tailored, do not count against this limit. So you still can get like more than whatever it says there if they just pop up randomly. Glitched out carousels, this is going to be the newest addition to the set. Pretty much they always appear on stage 2, but have a chance to appear again on stage 3 and 6. And then most games will have 2 or less glitched out carousels, but some will have 3. These pretty much have a lot of crazy things. You could have like a champion duplicator on a champion. You could have 2 item components on a champion. There could be like an item anvil instead of a champion on the carousel. So there are a lot of different things. There are eggs included. So all that stuff's listed out down here. Pretty wild stuff. It's probably the biggest change. So a lot of people think that this set didn't change that much because a lot of the champions are the same. But it's actually going to change how we play the game and approach it because the item distribution is going to be so much different in this new set. So if you were coming back from a previous set, you can't just copy your like item patterns that you did before. You probably will need to adjust to this new mechanic. Another new change is that all carousels will now have their items bounce off the champions when they return to your board. And this is a feature that we plan to release with our carousel updates this mid-set, but we'll be sticking around past this mid-set. So this is the first time they're ever doing that. It was a bit of a controversial decision, I think, because I remember they decided back long ago that it shouldn't do that to kind of force people to make a choice, but it ended up being that like items were much more important than champions, so it never really ended up mattering. But now I think we could play around with it a little bit, see which one we like more. Hero augment rework. So even though some of the champions stayed in the game, some of them got new augments, and we're gonna go over those right now. So Annie's reflector shield, I actually really like this one. People are gonna hate on me for that, but like I actually used reflector shield a bunch before. Not to the best effect, but I thought it was like a decent idea, but it's being changed to Pyromania because the augment just ended up sucking too much. So you gain an Annie, her spell is larger, and every cast she stuns, all targets hit for 1.5 seconds. That sounds actually pretty decent for a tank. Fiora's frontline fencing is being changed to Grand Challenge. Gain a Fiora every 4 attacks on the same champion. She deals 20% of her max health as magic damage and heals for 9% of her max health. So it's like a bit more of like a extreme thing from her last one, but kind of more in burst. Vitality of the Ox is being changed. I guess the name is being the same, but you gain a Fiora and then your team heals 25% of their max health every 10 attacks. I wonder why they changed it like that. Yasuo siphoning Winds is now going to be called Winds of the Wanderer. Gain a Yasuo, his spell is larger and deals 20% damage. Alistair Smash is being changed to Stubborn. Gain an Alistair. Combat Star, keep 50% magic resist shreds all enemy units. So that's really good if you go for AP comps. Oh wow, that's actually really nice for all those like Annie, Alistair, AP frontline comps. But we'll have to see how those change because a lot of the champions are different. Behemoth, same name, but you gain an Alistair. He gains 350 max health, and his ability hits all adjacent enemies and deals bonus damage to his primary target, equal to 25% of his max health. Jax's evasion is now Grandmaster's training. When you field him, your team gains 20 armor and 15% attack speed. These bonuses are doubled when your strongest Jax dies. So they really are removing dodge from the game. I thought they would remove it before, but they added in evasion, so I guess they're getting rid of it again. I wonder if they're going to change rapid fire cannon, because that's one of the items that causes your abilities to not miss. Starcross for Kaisa is being changed to Reconnaissance Team, and then you gain a Kaisa at the start of combat. Kaisa and her 2 closest allied champions gain 40% crit strike chance, and their spells can crit, so it pretty much turns them into a recon champ. Fiddlesticks Traumatic Memories is being changed to Scarier Crow. I don't even remember taking this augment ever in the previous set, just because it was so rare, but Fiddlesticks continues absorbing corrupted souls even while no longer dormant. If he is still dormant after 8 seconds, he immediately casts, so it just makes him like come out faster. Echo Resonance, Destructive Resonance, gain an Echo. Echo spell hits all enemies within 2 hexes and deals 220% bonus damage, but no longer slows enemies' attack speed. Wait a minute. Is that even better? That sounds worse. When you make a tank unit a damage unit, I don't think it makes them better. I'm pretty sure it makes it worse, but whatever. Maybe you could have some like nuke Echo build that like we don't know about yet. Syndra Power Overwhelming is being changed to Not in Vain. Gain a Syndra. Your strongest Syndra gains 30 starting mana and 30% attack speed each time an ally dies. That actually sounds really, really cool. I love Syndra in the last set, and honestly can't wait to play her more now. So onto the traits. We had Recon be removed. The reason why they're removing it is because of the positioning where they jump around like was not working as intended, which is weird because I remember there were some similar dashes in older sets that I think did work out really well. I wonder why the AI for the recons couldn't quite reach that same level. Galio and Sivir are leaving because no more civilian. Admin's being adjusted to accommodate Soraka's departure and Warwick's return. Twisted Fate is now a duelist instead of Zed, so now the melee comp now has more range options, which is really nice. A Hacker is being updated to a 5-piece trait. I actually forgot this happened. So you're able to reach 4 Hackers without an emblem now. And they changed it so that the person being jumped does gain lifesteal as well. I thought that was pretty cool. Oxforce, yeah, they say it's weird. It has always been weird. It is a frontline trait, and because they're removing Aphelios, and it doesn't make sense to have attack speed on Viego, I'm glad that they are changing it to be more of a defensive trait. Being able to hit 6 Renegade without Augments meant we should put a chase breakpoint in there, but since going 3-6-7 wouldn't really work, we restructured the trait to 3-5-7. Yeah, I talked about this a long time ago. They removed a lot of the 3-6 trait breakpoints, but they added 2 of them this set in Renegades and Laser Core. And yeah, turns out like they still kind of were a little annoying to use. I personally actually don't mind them, but I have heard complaints that like people hated the 3-6 breakpoints. But let's scroll down a little bit. Star Guardian, apparently they lack some Guardians, so they're gonna try to make it easier to like splash more vertical Star Guardians in without like sacrificing your tank line. And then Sure Shot feels a little clunky. Players should be sure about giving the trait a shot without the necessity of hitting an elusive 5-class emblem or augment. Okay, so yeah. I'm actually not going to go over all these changes. These are all just like really micro adjustments from the patch. Since the set is completely new, like, do you really need me to read these 50 billion admin changes? Probably not. Pretty much what I think everyone should do is go into the new set, play a couple games, get a feel first, and then after that, the patch notes matter a lot more because right now everything's so different. It's really impossible to judge these micro stat adjustments. The changes that are important are things like defenders no longer having a built-in taunt, duelists having a damage reduction, that's a new thing. Laser Core being a 3-4-5-6 trait, the Rider of Hackrim getting bonus Omnivamp. Changes like that are much more important than those like admin like 12 team mana to 20. You know what I'm saying? So I'll try to cover all of those here. There's no longer 8 mascot. Oxforce now gives armor and MR instead of attack speed. Renegade is 3-5-7 as we talked about before. Star Guardian is now 2-4-6-8. Sure Shot is 2-3-4-5. And then Underground has their loot table adjusted a little bit. So overall, pretty interesting stuff. I'm really excited for the Oxforce change because it did really seem a little odd beforehand that it gave attack speed when Viego, I thought, was a primary carry. They changed a couple of the units. Ashe is now Laser Core Sure Shot. Lux is no longer random targeting. Let's move on to the next ones for the important changes. Ezreal is now Underground, Quick Draw, and Parallel. Sivir switched teams to Infiniteam and Sure Shot. Kai'Sa is now a Star Guardian and Quick Draw. They also changed the way her attack kind of works. She takes longer to cast her ability now, but she gains more attack speed, so her build's definitely going to be different. Vayne is now an Anima and Duelist, lost Recon. And then onto tier 4, remove Sejuani, Set, Soraka, Talia, Zac, and Zed. Misfortune added the Quick Draw trait. Viego added the Heart trait. And then onto tier 5, they removed Aphelios. And then they also added the interaction where Syndra's allies thrown now trigger on ally death effects. So all these on death effects are always really weird. All the interactions are very unique. For example, sometimes ZZ Rot works for some things but doesn't work for others. So I do hope that they add more consistency to this throughout this set. Hopefully this is one step in that right direction. We're going to move into UI changes after that. Champion Duplicator is now orange to prevent confusion with the blue Lesser Duplicator. Item Remover is now more red. And then these can be held on the units on the carousel and they will pop off on your home board. ZZ Rot Portal added a new line to the tooltip that says summon units will not have as much effectiveness when using ZZ Rot. Spatula and Sword is being changed from Laser Core to Infiniteam Emblem. And then they adjusted some numbers to some hero augments. Again, doesn't really matter because it's a new set. And these type of number changes don't really change that much. Cruel Pact, this one's actually pretty important. I think the augments actually make a lot more sense to look into. You now, instead of granting 2 HP per round, it's back to 3 HP per player combat. Duelist Crown gives Hand of Justice instead of Edge of Night. High Roller has been removed from the game. Very interesting. I guess this makes sense because High Roller was either super, super good or super, super bad, depending on the meta. And the question is, how do you get dice now? Is it from Underground? I don't really know. There are also a lot of like weird interactions with this before, and it was kind of like you just had to know in order to make it work, and I don't think those are actually that fun. Laser Core Crown has been replaced with Laser Core Soul. You gain a Hand of Justice with that. March of Progress now grants 4 XP immediately. March of Progress XP per player combat is now, instead of 5, it's equal to your current player level. So it's no longer automatically a 3-cost reroll augment anymore. So you probably do want to spend or invest into leveling up to kind of like level up even faster. You'll have to find out what the breakpoints are for that. We'll try to come out with a leveling guide for this later on, hopefully. A Salvage Bin can now only be offered on 2-1. And you also get an item component after 7 player combats. And then they also added Salvage Bin Plus, which is offered on 3-2 and 4-2, which does something similar, but you now get a new item component after 4 player combats. Special thanks, as always, to my editor. Let me see who. Okay, yeah, I think he's just thanking himself. I think Riot Prism writes all these. I don't think he actually has an editor, does he? So I think he's just patting himself on the back. But overall, like, I actually am pretty excited for this set. There are a couple of tournaments that I want to play in, so hopefully we do well in that. New maps look cool, new little legends look cool. I like some of the trait reworks. Some people have been complaining, like, I will say it out there, that some of the champions that are added in, for example, they removed Talia, added in Nico, and they pretty much do the same thing. So they're like, why did they even make those changes? They use pretty much the same items even. But I honestly think it's fine. I'm excited to check out the glitched out carousels. I saw a little bit of how they worked on PvE, but I want to see how it works out like in a competitive environment. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I will be trying to stream every day, or as much as I can at least, probably not every day. But again, I did have a surgery recently, so I will be kind of taking it easy at the start of the set and then ramping it up as I get better and better. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this rundown. Again, if you want more info, go to teamfight.lol because like there's a lot of work put into this website and it's all updated with all the new stuff and it's really cool. Like you could click on a champion, you see all their augments. You have their abilities written out. Our team builder is the best team builder there is right now, I believe. There are a lot of features that other team builders lack. For example, you could put on an item, right-click it, make it a core item. It glows a little bit so you know that like, hey, you have to build this item on this champion. So I encourage a lot of people to use it, and we'll be making more and more improvements to it as the day goes on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be updating the meta snapshot on BunnyMuffins.lol on Friday as per usual. And apart from that, I will see you all later.